encrypt, and also communicate securely through the email. I'm not going to go over employment and generating revenue, except that I would like to tell you, once you get yourself protected, and what I sell helps you protect yourself, but after that, here's something that I think, if you want true freedom, you have got to get your revenue generation under your control. If you're working for somebody, you do not have that control. If you can start generating money privately, cash, or some other way through barter or anything, or recycling checks. Somebody gives you a check but makes it out, leaves the payee blank. You can use that check to pay one of your bills. I mean, there's so many tricks that you can use. You have got to get your money under control, because your money is your livelihood. It's the stranglehold on your livelihood. You've got to take that under control. Whatever you can do, if you can, I don't care if you have to sell popsicles or something to have a cash income so that you can get your revenue under control, you must do that, because otherwise your employer is going to rat on you. Okay? I talk about two sides of a business. One is your personal business, one is the corporate. And if you have some kind of a trust structure or something, you must separate that from yourself and refer to it as the company. A lot of people come to me and they say, well, Larry, how do you do it? Just tell me what you do. Do you have a trust? I said, no, I don't have a trust. Besides, I work for a company. Remember this. I work for a company that has very strict rules. I signed a contract with them that doesn't allow me to divulge any personal information, financial or otherwise, to anyone. I'm sorry, but the company I work for is very strict, and they would fire me if I told you anything. But I'd love to tell you everything. Okay? I work for a company. Nobody has a trust. Nobody has a foundation, corporate soul, whatever that stuff. You don't have it. Maybe you work for one. So what? You work for Toyota, right? You work for the, I don't care, the park department. You work for a company. What's so strange about that? You need to be wallpaper, be ordinary, be plain, be invisible. Okay? Then your business, the company, you can keep private. Your personal business, maybe through your bank account and some of the other things, you can make public, and you can use the same trick that they use. Has anybody heard the word disinformation? Some people call it lying. Okay? I have a domestic bank account. I work for a company. That company makes some money, but by God, it hardly makes anything. And it has huge expenses. I hate working for that company, except it has pretty good benefits. But I can't tell you what they are because I have this very strict, Okay. So you can use all those things yourself. Don't go around bragging that you can beat the system. Because you went to this great seminar and somebody told you how to stay private and you can beat them. By God, nobody's going to get anything from you. Here's what I suggest you do. Protect yourself and your family first. Educate yourself. I spent thousands of dollars on education, and I haven't learned as much as that's important as I have in the last 3 years. I don't care what it costs. Wes, charge $10,000 next year, okay? More people come. Where are you? No, never mind. Anyway, I don't care what it costs. You have to educate yourself. You say, yeah, but I don't have that much money. Okay, let me ask you this question. How many in here have ever gotten a traffic ticket? I have. Raise your hands. What was the average price of that traffic ticket? Okay, let's say $100. How many people have ever in your life paid income taxes? Anybody? I have. How much does that cost you? Thousands. Tens of thousands. If I knew 30 years ago that there is no law that says I have to pay income taxes, I could have made, I'd be driving a Maserati. I'd have a Learjet. I don't know. I'd have a lot more money than I do now. I don't know what I'd be driving. But by God, I have paid, I'm sure I've paid well over $100,000, maybe $200,000 in income taxes. Probably $300,000. I don't know. Lots of you have. Is ignorance cheap? I don't care what it costs. It's not as expensive as ignorance. You, by the way, in Canada, have the same such lack of a law. How much does that cost you not to know that? Well, it costs me plenty, by God. Don't be greedy, don't be lazy. I know it's easy to go out there and do your job. Just blab everything to everybody, it doesn't make any difference. I'm not that important. I don't have that much money. They'll come after you anyway. Don't be greedy, don't be lazy. You are not alone. By the way, there are thousands of groups across North America and around the world just like us. Really. I could give you hundreds of websites, hundreds of groups that are just like this. There are lots of them. Millions of people around the world are freedom lovers. Do not feel like the Lone Ranger. Now, we're not real organized. And I'd love it if there were 10,000 people here, and I'd love to address an audience of 10,000. Maybe we have 100, whatever it is. But there are thousands of others of us out there. Okay? And there is lots of help, lots of people to help support you. You need to, however, take some active steps right now. Do not be like this guy. I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is, hey, it's not my job. This is a line painter who painted right over the roadkill. Can you see that? Hey, it's not my job to throw that dead rat off this, or whatever it is, armadillo, I don't know. That's somebody else's job. I just paint. My message to you is, you now have the knowledge. You can't claim ignorance anymore. And when you get done this weekend, you're really going to have the knowledge. So you can't claim, I don't know, nobody told me, don't blame me, what can I do? Because you see, now you've been informed. I might come to haunt you, see. All you have to do is mention. By the way, I had a friend who was a friend for over 35 years. And I gave him a tape. I said, I've been listening to I've gone to some great seminars. I've been taking law courses, and I've learned an awful lot. It's really good. Listen to this tape. And he called me a fascist. He says, that right-wing fascist stuff, I'm not listening to that. And it basically broke up our friendship. But you know what? He stands to inherit $600,000 from his elderly father, going to die in a couple of years, and he figures, what, me worry? I got $500,000 coming in. I don't want to rock the boat. He calls me a fascist because I'm interested in his freedom. I have made so many other better friends. I don't mind losing one like that. So, if you have ever talked to somebody that says, oh, that far-right stuff, you kook, those guys are a bunch of kooks, don't worry about it. Because all these people here, you could count as friends. You get to know them all. There are some great people out there who are freedom lovers, believe me, and it's a great family to be in. And by the way, I think we only have a few years left and things that have come to a real head, so you're going to want to have the contacts and the friends that you can make. So my basic message is, please, take a stand. I guess I have to ask, will you take a stand? I don't have any leverage over you, but protect yourself, get your privacy under control, and then, for the children's sake or the sake of the rest of the world, let's get busy. I'm only about 50. I only have about another 50, 60 years to go, and I have about 3 lifetimes worth of work to do. So I need your help, and we need all of us to help work together. But first of all, we got to tell them we're throwing down the gauntlet here. I'm not telling you anything anymore, you out there. You're going to have to come and get it. You're going to have to squeeze it out of me to tell you anything that I'm doing anymore. And not only that, but I'm going to tell everybody else to keep those secrets too. And in the meantime, I am going to do the best I can to get myself prosperous and wealthy so that I can do good, do humanitarian things. And I'm not going to tell you about them. Okay? So you can turn the tables, and that's what my whole program is about. Get your privacy under control, and then go out and make some money. Or if you don't want to do that, that's okay. But be part of the freedom movement for the world, for the sake of the world, for yourself, for your children. And let's turn the tables on these guys. We have so many tricks up our sleeves. It's fun. Let me tell you, I've never had so much fun as I have in the last 3 years. I don't care. I would like to be 20 again, but I wouldn't want to be 20 and ignorant. So have some fun. There's a lot of great strategies out there, and you're going to love it. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I have time for a couple of questions.
We're just going to line this mic up for anybody who wants questions. We'd like you to ask your questions on the mic so we can capture it on the tape, please.
We only have like, what, 5 minutes?
Oh, no, we got another
Okay.
3 minutes. Yeah,
Okay.
we can go a little over.
And if you didn't get one of these handouts, by the way, Deb has some over there, and there's some on my table. And I have some other things about who you can trust and what to do on your computer, that sort of thing. So
Okay.
make sure you get some.
It's working. So maybe anybody that has questions, would you mind coming maybe over here to the mic and lining up and asking Larry of them so we can have about 20 minutes or so we can ask questions? Thank you. Okay. Okay, Larry, are you ready for questions?
Yes, and by the way, the book and newsletter apply to Canadians as well as Americans. A lot of people ask me that. So I'll answer that.
I have a question regarding privacy on encryption. I'm aware that there are United States battles with companies who are trying to put out encryption software on 128-bit encryption. And we know that this is because government has been using that higher, instead of 64-bit encryption, 128. They always want to keep one step level ahead of us so we can't hack into their systems.
What you do anyway?
What do we do? Because they can
That's a
still
good
crack
question.
us because they're ahead of us.
I know, but by the way, you all need to check your encryption level on your computer. Go to the Help button and check on the encryption level for whether you use Netscape or Internet Explorer. And check on what the encryption level you do have. Probably you have 64-bit encryption or 40-bit encryption is what most people have. And you need to raise it to the 128-bit level. That's the secure socket layers level encryption. And you can download an Internet Explorer version or Netscape version. It will be the 128-bit level. And the encryption that I sell, I didn't write. I purchased from some company offshore, by the way, in Europe. And it's 256-bit level. So it's very, very good encryption. And that is for encrypting all the files on your hard disk. And it actually turns those files into what is called a container file. And then when you decrypt it, it just becomes a letter, a hard drive letter, like H or L or M or something like that. So it's a higher level than 128-bit. And then the PGP that I also give away for free and explain how to use is a 1024-bit level encryption. And so as a general rule, I like to have files encrypted before they leave my computer. I don't like to trust things like ziplip and hushmail and things like that because those might be government operated. So I encrypt them on my computer first and send them out the door encrypted at a very high level. Okay?
Yes, like you stated before, with cell phones, they've already established the limit of what they can do through industry for retail to the public. Now, with the encryption available in Internet Explorer and that, would you not suggest that because they already have the ability to hack that?
Oh, they can hack anything. If you're important enough, they can hack into it. They will get it. Okay? They have big, huge computers, and they can get at anything. But you have to be important enough to them to do so. So live a quiet life, unintrusive. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and it talks about how millionaires really don't drive fancy cars or wear custom clothing. They live rather quiet lives, unintrusive lives. You need to do that too so that you aren't a target to them, so they don't pick up your signals. Yes?
Hi, I've got a question about computer security. If you don't have internet access on your computer and you just basically have a standalone computer that isn't portable, just sits in your living room and does your basic word processing and accounting, is that a security risk?
No, you're fine there with the one exception. They could come to your house and steal it.
Okay, so beyond the actual physical removing your computer, if you're not on the internet, you don't have to worry about your computer security as much.
Yeah, with the exception of theft or your house burning down, right.
Okay.
I carry around disks with me, so all the important files on my computer are encrypted with a high-level encryption, and I keep a backup. I have one with me right now. I carry it with me wherever. I go down to get a latte or something, I'll take it with me. So yeah, keep it with you. I still think you ought to keep it encrypted, but it's up to you. Who knows who has access to your computer. But that's one technique, by the way, for privacy on the internet, and that is don't have any computer hooked to the internet that has your personal files on it. Have a separate internet computer, and then have all your important files on another computer, and never use a floppy to interchange between the two, and don't network them.
Thank you very much.
Turn file and printer sharing off, by the way, on your computers. File and printer sharing. You go to the control panel, networks, and look for any file and printer sharing. Don't have a check mark there, because hackers use that to get into your computer. Yes, sir.
Yes, thanks. I have a quick question, and then one that you perhaps elaborate on. The quick question is, there are cell phones that you buy that you're not registered, that you just pay for them, and then there's either disposable.
I like those. Yes, they're prepaid.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and you pay like $100, and then you update them.
Right.
And you like phone cards. Those are real good. Now, if they want you bad enough, they can do a voice print from their satellites and find out who you are.
All right.
Okay, but probably they're not going to do that. People will come to me all paranoid and thinking, oh, geez, they're after me, they're listening to me, do everything they. And I say, what are you going to move into a bunker in your basement? So relax a little, stay a little paranoid. But those cell phones I really like, because unless you identify who you are on it, and if you just use your first name, you're going to be okay. They're probably not going to do a voice print of you. I mean, that takes a lot of time and energy and money. And remember, folks, it's all commerce. It's just money. How valuable are you? Oh, yes, you are. You don't want to be valuable to them, though.
Second question, you refer to they, and that's a bit of nebulous. I don't know if you can expound on that a little bit. But you mentioned that there's now thousands of groups like this. What do you think the response is of the they to the potential that this group has in threatening them?
Well, I think it's like a gigantic gorilla, 100 feet tall, and all of us out here have like a 4-penny nail, or maybe even just a pin, and we're sticking it in their toe. They can feel it, but it's more of an annoyance right now, so they flick it off, and they flick this one off and flick that. It's like a little mosquito. But they don't like them. And what they're doing is, and I'm seeing a lot of this on the internet, and some of the messages I'm getting, is that they are tightening up their controls over money and banking. So all those little groups can do all their little thing that they want, but they don't have any access to the money. So we are making them uncomfortable. They are sending in SWAT teams to some that are being very loud and boisterous and not very smart about it. And they are using their disinformation tactics to discredit other groups and banning books. So, we're making them a little uncomfortable. I don't know what the prognosis is for solving the problem, but you can solve the problem for yourself and spread the word. Okay? I like to jab them every once in a while, but I protected myself first. So if you want to jab first, go ahead and do that, but then be ready to run off and hide, and then go back and jab them again, And Yes?
Larry, could you answer, are there any phone cards? I've heard that there are some phone cards that a person can purchase that will not, if you dialed from your own home phone, it wouldn't come back, it wouldn't be traceable. And my second question is, are there any offshore bank cards that offer more or less security in terms of when you use them, and how would a person safely use an offshore debit/credit card?
As far as the phone cards are concerned, what my understanding is that they also can be traced if they want to bad enough. Government agencies could trace those if they really wanted to, but they're probably not going to. You need to avoid sending any faxes to an offshore entity from your home computer or your home fax, calling those from your home phone, and you can use a phone card, so at least it goes through an intermediary. And I think that's a fairly good way to do it. Even more secure is to use a public fax machine like a local store and send a fax using an alias name and a password to your entity, and then they don't know who it is. So that's a little more secure. What was the second question that you had?
Offshore credit, debit.
Oh, yeah. I prefer credit cards than debit, because once they yank the money out of your bank account, they've got it, and it's sometimes very difficult to get it back. But if it's a credit card, then you can make them reverse the transaction. You don't have to pay for it. It doesn't go against your, your account until they've proved that it's true, it's good. If you can get a credit card that is not in your name, that's certainly going to be much better. Okay? And you need to avoid the ATM machines at the banks because they have cameras. Don't go there thinking I'm going to put on my Groucho Marx glasses and everything to hide. Just avoid those. They don't all have. You go to one in a local store or something. So what if you have to pay a couple of dollars? Avoid the ATM machines that have the cameras. And try to get the debit or credit card from your offshore account in another name, an alias name or a company name. Company cards are so common. I've worked with a lot of companies or consulted with them, and they had expense accounts. So company credit cards for expenses are very common. Be common. Okay, try not to have it in your name. And actually, I have an offshore account that I'm asking for another card in an alias name, and it's no problem.
How good is the anonymizer program?
I like Anonymizer. I used to use it, and I was very happy with it. You can send in your money from a money order, and you don't tell them who you are. So what if it's run by the government? They don't know who you are. You're just sending a money order. You're going to take your fingerprints on it? Wear gloves. I don't know. I don't think it's. I don't think they're going to go that much trouble to find out who you are, and you don't tell them. Same thing with Zero Knowledge up in Montreal. You don't tell them who you are either. So if you're going to trust an internet company, see if you can not tell them who you are. And in fact, in the instruction booklet in my privacy package, I explain how you can sign up for accounts and just ignore certain screens. Don't tell them or make up something. It won't matter. A lot of times you can just lie to them or just don't tell them. So I tend to be a little more paranoid and maybe less trusting than others. But if you cannot tell them, then that's even better than saying, hey, this is a great internet company. They promised to be, promised me privacy. Well, it could be a government sting operation too. Something like Trustee, you see the word Trustee on a website, and you think, oh, they have agreed to conform to certain privacy policies. It's so easy to get a Trustee seal. They don't ever go back and check to see who you are. Anybody can get one of those. So I tend not to trust any of them. I don't encourage you to buy on the internet unless you have a secure credit card on an offshore bank, and it's got like a $500 limit or something. Just use that, okay? Otherwise, try not, because credit accounts, account numbers, credit cards are stolen on the internet all the time. They don't tell you about it. That's part of the big secret, this big, ignorance game they play. They don't tell you how much fraud there is on the internet and how much credit card thievery there is. Credit theft and identity theft amounts to like 500,000 people a year just in North America alone. It's a huge problem. Okay?
Any other questions?
Larry, could you define they?
Yeah, that's a difficult one because whenever I think of the they, I think of the major bankers. Other people will tell you it's the reptilian society maybe, or the Illuminati, or whatever you want to talk about. I think the top one are the top bankers who are running everything. And I've heard other things, but there's only, I think, maybe a handful of people who are really running things, and it's basically money and power and control oriented. So, for instance, let me give you an example of the Republican Convention party that's going on in Philadelphia right now. Basically, what it is a big love fest amongst millionaires who are just grubbing for power and control. And there's a bunch of millionaires up there just rubbing elbows and divvying up the world. And political parties have control over the legislature, the presidency, the prime minister, and those are keys to power. So who is the they? It doesn't really matter too much. You can think of large corporations in cahoots with the largest banks, and some of the leaders in the world, not necessarily presidents, because I think a lot of presidents and prime ministers of the world take orders from the ones that are really in power. So it doesn't matter? I don't know. Probably not. Just protect yourself.
Short question on
Encryption, I don't know much about it, but if you start to encrypt all of your messages going out, don't the people at the other end have to have the same encryption or decryption?
No, they just need to know the password. See, the things I picked out for my privacy package are things that are really easy to use. So, for instance, you can use PGP, and the person you send the file to only has to know the password. They just double-click on it, put in the password, and they got the file.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really nice about it. And in fact, if you send a 10K file, after you encrypt it with PGP in the way that they give, that's very easy. And I put a little screen dump on so you can see, and I put an arrow pointing exactly what button to push. It only ends up, instead of a 10K file, it's a 10,100 bytes or something. It's real small. It's really easy. So they don't even have to have PGP.
If I start sending encrypted file, is that going to trigger something with Echelon to say, hey, this guy has got something to hide?
Yeah, but it's already been triggered. See, thousands, millions of people are sending encrypted files already. So don't feel like you're the first one. And they know it's a problem to them. And so what they're trying to do is pass laws that will require that you allow them into your house to put some software into your computer so that they can find out what your passwords are. And if you don't give them your password, then you can go to jail. I mean, they're trying to get laws passed like that. But right now, there's no, they don't have them. But they know that people encrypt files already. And in fact, it's just the way the businesses do business. So don't feel like it's going to raise some red flags.
And I just heard that in Great Britain, in fact, that maybe you could comment, I'm not sure about this, but that they have passed some legislation to disallow encryption of email. And
yes, well, actually, to disallow encryption. And actually, that's under attack right now. So I don't think they're enforcing it right now, but that actually did pass. And where it's going to go, I don't know if they're going to, if it's going to stick or not. Yeah. It's quite a world out there. I try to keep up with that on the newsletter. I send out a newsletter once a month, and people say, well, is that going to trigger something? But there are so many newsletters out there. And I send it as a PGP file, a PDF file, so they're not going to have text that's going to be out there, that they're going to be able to easily read. So make it tough for them. I used to carpool with a revenue agent in the United States, and he says, geez, I got so many easy guys to go after. I don't even work on the hard ones. I got a whole stack on my desk of easy ones I go after every year, year after year. I just get the money from them, and my boss thinks I'm great. So why should I have